So we won't have a regular meeting, but we will roll through a few things, kind of an announcement kind of thing. First, my apologies, I didn't get the minutes done.
I kept searching, but it doesn't matter.
What we're gonna do, we couldn't have approved them anyway. I had them ready. New member at the next select board meeting will be Greg, do you know anybody in the?
I just met Ross, I don't know.
I'm Tiffany.
Hi, Tiffany, how you doing?
And you know Beth, and
Oh, yes, I know these folks.
you wanna give 30-second who you are and, you know, or give it your.
Somebody better help us.
I lived in town a long time, my kids went through school, I graduated from high school, my wife graduated from high school here. I worked all my life in Concord, I've been in real estate, got my license in 1969. Worked building houses, been on a lot of committees. Light plant, public works, natural resources.
You're in a partnership now, right?
Yeah, this Concord Business Partnership, I don't know what it is, we do, well, I was president for 5 years. My kids went through the sports, so I'm president of that sports thing.
I mean, I went to the partnership meeting last time they met and. Or Greg got bushwhacked.
I did get bushcraft.
No.
That's what you
There
got.
was that twice this week. Yesterday, and today.
That was kind of interesting.
I thought so.
Okay, so we'll welcome the official voting member next time we convene in June, and we will then have said goodbye to Marie. And Marie, I'm gonna go to the chamber meeting, the end of June it is, I guess.
June 21st.
June 21st to make our pitch, that I did at the round table for getting all the business groups together. And that's my task. I would say that Greg and I yesterday were at a,
And me.
and
me.
yes, and, yeah, I'm ready, and a few other people, were at I guess it was a focus group, around historical preservation. And the meeting aside, it was very interesting, I thought, but the thing that struck me, and I've already mentioned it to Mary, is we were sitting there, the three of us, Sharon Spalding is another business person in town, doing something like that. But the meeting was about economic, the focus group was around economic vitality and tourism. And so we were there, and that was pretty expected to be there, but who else was there? Was the umbrella and the museum? And I don't think anybody was there from the library or 51 Walton Street, but it was clear to me that their interests coincide with our interests, and in an important way, that frankly, this committee is not structured. I mean, Jan is on the committee, but it's kind of a, it's kind of jam, and there's no real representation here from these big organizations that really rely on pulling people from other areas to be successful, like Walden. So I spoke with Mary, and on our agenda next time, we'll be thinking about augmenting our membership to see if we get some representation. Between now and then, what I'll do is I'll go meet with these folks and see if they're interested, and see if we can find people there who live in town. Although Mary told me that we could have somebody out of town if that was,
Well, I'm out of town.
Yeah.
Right.
You just have to get your little special permit.
Yeah, well, they.
You get a different color card.
But there must be a citizen group board that oversees.
Well, it must be, but what the component of what we want there is, I mean, you've got, when Mary and I just briefly talked, she said, what about Dave Wood? And Dave's a great guy. But this is a historian and a curator, he's had his own things. We need their marketing world to come.
You got Ramon. Ramon's here.
I will,
I think you're totally right, and being inclusive of
Yeah.
one or two of those members,
Yeah.
which, and now this committee is shrinking, so it's a good way also to start beefing it up a little bit.
Well, it was really a moment for me when I was thinking about this committee, and there's this a whole group of folks, which, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go meet with them. I mean, I might meet with the library as well. I mean, they do a lot of programs.
Well, there's a lot of people, there's 51 Walden, there's the Art
Art
Association, you know,
So the only thing if we can get, you know, get a couple reps from that part of the,
I think those two that were there yesterday are the bigger ones in town that,
was,
that pull
yeah.
people in,
The
the
guy sitting
museum
next to you.
and, Umbrella,
it was the umbrella guy. And
right,
I think he
Stewart.
lives in town, doesn't he?
No, he lives in
No,
Arlington.
he lives in Arlington.
Oh, I thought he lived in
And he may need to dedicate someone to this, cause he's so busy with
Yeah.
this 250 and Arlington's 250, plus he's on the Arlington Art Council.
And then, there's two women on the other side, I think they were from,
They're from the museum.
museum.
Mhm.
And I don't know who the guy sitting next to me was.
He was from the museum also,
There's three, of them.
yeah,
Right, so my job will be, I'll go meet with these organizations.
and also 51 Walden,
Yeah.
someone from the, or Concord Players.
Yeah.
One or the other, because they bring
See if
lots
we
of
can get
folks in
them to-
for evening.
Be part of it.
How many vacancies are there? I mean, you can expand the committee, of course, I assume. But how many vacancies are there presently, do we know?
I think with the trouble is, we don't have on the body count, we don't have vacancies on a, designation of interest, that's where we have, that's why we nailed you. Cause we've got Scott, Tiffany, me, and somebody else who are community members.
Right,
And we're over, and somebody left, but I can't remember, but we're oversubscribed community members.
now you need a retailer, someone from the
Undersubscribed.
chamber.
We need some replacement for Maria.
I'm trying,
Yeah,
um,
anyway, so
but it
that-
is in the charge.
Yeah.
The list of,
but it says the last
Oh,
item,
categories.
Yeah, we're actually moving away from, having specific slots, moving towards more a general look and, recommending that we have someone from the chamber but. We're all having trouble getting enough.
Yeah, let's
people.
fill it.
We're trying to expand a little, just say to have an interested business
Sure.
development within Concord and some suggestions. So we could rewrite the charge. If you're trying to get too restricted, so you can't bring people in.
well, I haven't yet, except
Okay,
now
if
that
you
we.
do, If you do, that would be a great
But,
fix.
and the other person that, if we could have another outside person, I bet I could talk Sharon into coming and play.
Mhm, mhm.
she would be good,
Huh?
she would be good.
She's terrific, and, she's wanted to be on committees and always,
She always can.
doesn't live here, she's in Belmont.
Right.
But I doubt if that was okay, we could get her, and that'd be a great voice, because she's very good and she's thoughtful and.
I would also try to recommend to you a business owner in West Concord.
I was thinking.
That's right, we had that one from, what was her name? Do you remember? The West Concord woman?
No, but she was with the West Concord Cultural District. But I think you need,
Business
Business
owner.
person.
a business.
Better go get Deborah's son, see if he's in.
Is Jen?
I don't know yet.
Someone?
Huh?
Jen was on it, Jen
Oh,
was
she's
on
okay.
it. Yeah.
Andy, you're talking about Andy, yeah, he's
You mean
really
Adam?
busy.
Adam.
I mean, Adam.
We'll never get- I don't think
Yeah,
you'll
I
get
don't know, I know who he is.
Oh, I know.
I tried Ben Elliott, the salt bar. You don't think?
Oh, he'd be fantastic.
He's fantastic. I
Talk
tried
about
to
business.
for host
Okay,
right now.
never mind.
So he might be, maybe now's the right time though for him.
Right, you never know. when
You never
the
know.
time is
I'll
for.
ask him, I was popped in the store today to tell him how nice the event was, they catered that last night.
Yeah, so he'd be great.
But he was, doing whatever he does back there with knives and stuff.
But I think it would be nice, or even someone from Grove Street, a business. I think you need a couple more businesses.
Mark owns business on Thorough, see, somewhat covered. Some.
Who?
Mark,
Martinez.
Oh, which one?
Well, he owns real estate.
He
A
owns
building.
a couple of them there. He owns the one that's got the new paint company in.
You know, the building.
Yeah,
Real target.
But I was saying business.
I'm saying it, but if you only have one slot, then you go for the other one.
Oh, yeah,
But
right.
you have representation of
Right.
all to a
Right.
certain extent.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead with that plan, I'll bring something back to you, and I'll check on, and. The select board just seated new members. And one of the things they do when they seat new members is they reassign, liaisons. But we got married again, so
Yay.
glad you're here. Would you like to give us a report?
Sure. As the tourism manager hat, right? I just got back from a week in Los Angeles attending IPW, which is an international trade show. It's put on by US Travel, which is in charge of marketing the entire United States. It was 6,000 people from all over the world. I was with the rest of the state of Massachusetts. And I had 42 one-on-one appointments with tour operators from all countries in Europe and China. There's a brand new direct flight from Panama. We met with them. That flight starts this summer. And most states had a booth. So we are essentially pitching our little booth to the rest of the world to get people to come to Massachusetts. So it was really, we worked with MOT, Mass Office of Travel and Tourism. They had 100 appointments. They did a press conference. It was really a pretty incredible experience. Lost my voice for 5 days after, but it was really, LA did a great job welcoming. We were all in a big convention center and at the hotels on the periphery, so, we really were throwing out there the 250 to see how it landed with the international audience, because it's something that's slowly rebuilding post-COVID. We are seeing obviously a lot of UK and Canada and, some other countries have started to return. But it was really a testing the waters to see what the messaging looks like. And it was really universal 50-50. Half knew exactly what we were talking about, were excited, have already booked their flights and plans, and the other half were like 250 well. So that was really kind of eye-opening for us. And I worked directly with the North of Boston region. We met with all these people together. And what was interesting for me to hear from that audience is that their clientele have done the gateway cities. They've done Miami, they've done New York, they've done DC, they've done Boston. Now they want an authentic experience. They want a slower form of travel. They love that we have all our protected outdoor spaces. They love that they can come and hike, they can rent a kayak, they can sort of get a more personalized experience. They also liked, at least for what I can offer, is translations, which is really nice. It sort of just reaffirms that it was a really smart decision to have our maps in many languages, because it's just a little friendlier face. You know, most travelers are international, they're speaking English, but it's nice to be able to offer that. So we really had a really good stretch going of like talking about all the things you can do once you get out of Boston. You know, it's less expensive to stay out in the greater Merrimack Valley in the north of Boston area, and then you can day trip into Boston on the train. You can day trip, you can drive up to the mountains in New Hampshire. So what's kind of always been sort of my belief was sort of cemented, that people don't see boundaries. Lexington, Concord, Andover, they don't know. They want to come to New England. They want a New England experience that they've seen in a book or a movie. It's less about, I'm only coming to Concord, and more, I'm coming to Boston for 2 weeks. What should I do? So that really sort of helped us sort of form the narrative for this 250. So that is done, and doing all the follow-up now, and I'll share the leads out with everybody. I did get contributions to go from the Concord Museum and the Colonial Inn, helped offset some of the costs because it's a very expensive show to do. And I probably won't ever do it again. There's one that's local that I also do called Discover New England. It's very inexpensive and it's usually a drive. So this was expensive, but I think the rewards will we're already seeing some traction, and I've only been back 2 weeks. So I think what's interesting is the woman from Panama already called and said, hey, we've got this flight in July with VIPs. What can we do? So I'm putting together an itinerary to show them, you know, what they can then go back and pitch their clientele. Rob Monroe and Gary Clayton and I did an interview with the Boston Globe yesterday about the 250 that's gonna run in June. So I think the word is out there. certainly our visitors are back. And we're exceeding all former years already for this year, so, and the 250 mark is starting to sell really nicely.
When is, I know you scheduled it, but I don't remember, when is your business?
So the business meeting is Tuesday, June 11th, 8:30 in the morning. We're using the hearing room. I know the partnership sent it out today as an invite. I hadn't even done a flyer, so I'm working on a flyer for it. But we will, the idea is that we will go door to door to remind people. The chamber's gonna promote it out to their membership. I'd like this membership to also just, anybody you come across, the focus will be sharing the public safety plan with what roads are anticipated to be closed. Sharing, Melanie Deneen, our health director, will talk about what permits they need, if they wanna operate somehow differently, either that weekend or just in general. Do they wanna bring food somewhere else? Do they wanna pop up? Giving them all the options so that they have plenty of time to get permits in. And then just in general, what the businesses might wanna be aware of in terms of like how they'll be able to get trucks in and all of those. So, and we hope to have a little more information on transportation at that meeting as well. We had a huge meeting with the MBTA and MassDOT today, which was very, very, very good. And a bit of a relief that it went that well. So we hope to have some closer to some plans and.
Has the road closure?
It's not
decided
finalized,
yet?
no. Part of it is the chicken and the egg, like we need parking spots for buses, but if the national park is available for buses or if two-way closed and it's bus only, that changes the plan. So, Brian Goldman, our police department is really working on like some layers with our GIS software that I can't begin to try to figure out that layering, but we're looking at those options, like what, you know, if two-way is closed to vehicular traffic, then we can put parking and shuttles in this lot or that lot. And we start to talk with the area around us, like Burlington and Woburn, finding out what their plans are. You know, maybe if there's no school, we can use their school parking lots, we could use the mall parking lot, like there's some options that are outside of the periphery that might be
Is
helpful.
Minuteman part of the?
Yeah, so they're, Randy Biddles, their safety and security is on the committee, and we had Karen today come talk to us. As well as 2 from the MBTA and 1 from MassDOT. And, you know, the biggest takeaway from today's meeting was they will help us with whatever coordination we need. They may not have any money for us, so they did mention that they might have some ideas on where to put that one. But, they said number one thing is to talk to them all the time, like we don't have to have a finalized plan before we submit things to them. We can submit in phases. And they will help us sort of frame what the final plan is. So the public safety sort of multi-team plan is putting together a transportation subcommittee that'll have the transportation planners from each town, MBTA, MassDOT, safety people, and they're all gonna sit and hammer out a plan that then we can use to go procure vehicles and shuttles.
What a logistical nightmare.
Yeah, not it, I said, so I think that.
Should have waited 2 years.
Yeah, thanks, Greg, you're so helpful. So I think that covers both 250 and tourism.
It does.
Budget for what?
For the transportation work that you need to do,
Well, we know how much is left in the IMA, which is about $100,000.
okay?
So we spent just under 100 on the events coordinator, Anthem Group. So it's about 100,000, which should in theory get us shuttles for that weekend. But there's a lot of events that are starting to pop up on the weekends before and after. Just as the celebration, you know, comes in, you know, and the estimates are so wide, unexpected attendance for that weekend. You know, and it's very highly dependent on who accepts the RSVP. You know, if we're a normal year with a bigger amount of events, like we have this great festival for families in the afternoon, parades and that, you know, I would say instead of 10,000, might get 30, you know, for a big anniversary year, but, you know, VIPs, presidents come, Nobel laureates, whoever might be on the invite list, that we could get 100,000 people. I mean, we just don't know. So they're planning for the most, like 150,000 people and scaling as needed.
And I guess it would be just worth mentioning, there's a music festival this weekend.
Yes, right upfield, Rotary Music Festival.
And when is the porch thing in West Concord? That's not till
That's not now. Next weekend is the library's book sale.
6, yeah.
8.
8th. And it's also the screening of the Ellen Garrison film that the Tough students did at the Umbrella on the 8th.
So, all right, thank you very much, Beth. Mimi, are you well enough to?
Yes, hi, everybody. Sorry I'm not there in person. Some COVID virus decided to stow away in my body on my vacation. So in terms of updates, I'm going to have a summer intern working with me this summer. So I'm looking, I haven't actually even met him in person yet. I'm sort of looking at 3 different projects and sort of going to see what's the best fit with his skills. His background is he had worked in a bunch of different farms and he's studying business. So the 3 ideas that I'm going to be sort of pitching with him and doing some combination is one to do kind of a study of like permitting in Concord and sort of case study of like how long does it take to get through the process, really kind of mapping it out to, we sort of have what the official way things are, but basically to kind of sort of see where some of the snags are and create some case studies. Another proposed project is to help me with MCI Concord and help gather some history related to the site that we can put on the website to kind of flesh that out as part of our community outreach. And the third idea, because he's interested in farms, is to really understand the business models of Concord's farms and see how we can sort of amplify agriculture. So for example, the state right now is sort of looking at doing an ice cream of Massachusetts trail, but none of Concord's farms are doing ice cream, but there are the ones that are doing cider. And so looking at how can we connect those? Maybe there might be some value added things that they aren't doing. Maybe connect their products with local restaurants. So seeing if that's something that might be of interest to him. So I'll have a better sense of what he's going to be doing in the beginning of June. He's going to start the second week of June. Several public art projects that I've been assisting various players with. So the Poetry Phone had its ribbon cutting this last weekend in West Concord. So you can step in sort of a something that looks like an old time phone box. Probably the youngsters won't even recognize it anymore. And it's a repurposed payphone. You press the button and you can listen to a recorded poem by a local poet. We've got 3 signal boxes that are going to be painted in West Concord. Those 2 projects are from the West Concord Cultural District. And then the contract for the artist for the art installation in Concord Center, the Freedom Silhouette, that contract is going out this week. We did a call, the Concord Center Cultural District Task Force did a call for activation projects. So looking for projects that cost up to $2,000 to do sort of place-based things to help bring people to Concord Center and sort of bring people to that art installation and kind of deepen the understanding of it. That task force is going to be looking at those proposals tomorrow. I'm working with Beth and Elizabeth Hughes from the Planning Department on a grant to Mott for that's the State Office of Travel and Tourism for capital projects related to the 250th. Because it's a pretty short time frame for the project and it requires a 1-to-1 match. We've got sort of a modest project to expand benches in the business districts. So basically we're looking at Concord Center to Thoreau Depot. As part of that, I did identify that we've got some of the benches that the Concord installed during the 200th anniversary that basically have sunk so far that they're more like knee attack weapons rather than benches. So I'm hoping that we might be able to reset some of those so that the existing benches actually function as actual benches. And then folks might have seen in the news a Concord business, HDF Painting has been working with the shelter in by the Route 2 Rotary, and they are hiring some of their Haitian immigrants to work with them as painters. So it's been sort of, we're talking a little bit about how they were using different digital tools to be able to do translations, and it's been sort of a real win-win for those folks, both businesses that are struggling to find good workers and these migrants that have get work permits but have been struggling without transportation, how to be able to get to work. And then folks might have seen, and I think there's a flyer out in the hallway outside the door, the Historic Commission or the Historic Districts Committee, I'm not quite sure which entity, but they have the Historic Planner has got a heritage planning effort that they're doing a survey. So I encourage folks to answer that survey to help kind of be a voice for economic vitality of the town, because folks don't often sort of see the interplay of Concord's travel and tourism and is a big part of the economic driver here. And in some ways, historic preservation can also be a hindrance, can it be challenging for businesses to put signage up, to sort of be ADA compliant. There's all kinds of things where there's some tension in there. So it'd be good to kind of bring some of those issues into the conversation.
Good, have they set up a time for you to meet with them? The historic group, the consultants?
I would like to have a meeting with them. I had reached out a while back and was told that they were still, it was sort of like, don't call us, we'll call you kind of thing. But I think they might be a little further along, so maybe it's worth reaching out to them again.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't met them either. She did, Elizabeth, and Anne came to one of the tourism meetings and introduced themselves in the project. But didn't do, they told us same thing, focus groups are coming, interviews are coming. And it sounds like some people, there was some overlap, you had some umbrella staff yesterday. But they didn't come back and say, you know, me or Mimi or any of the others, so not yet, anyway.
Well, we were told yesterday, you're definitely on the agenda to be
For the
brought
tourism.
in.
But they
I don't
were
think they
voting
said anything about me.
No, they talked about Ben, so that's why I said to Mimi, I think you need to be a pest and go talk to Ann and get on their agenda so they hear from both of you guys.
But I had asked specifically about Beth, but I
Yeah.
think they were answering that
Yeah.
question.
There did seem to be a void yesterday without her there, frankly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's interesting. Thank you, Mimi. The next item we're not gonna deal with, which is updates from the various committees, however, I'm gonna say the following. I'll be in touch with, Beth, you might get excused from this, but I'll be in touch with folks who are assigned to each of those three. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to come back at our next meeting in June with a very explicit proposal, something explicit. This Mimi made this suggestion to me in an email. I think it's a good way for us to advance these initiatives, to come back to the committee with a specific issue or goal that we can get done. And you're not on, why don't you, because you're one, aren't you?
Yeah.
Why don't
It's the
you?
recruiting and retaining businesses.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say that the policy and regulation one, the one we've already talked about is that secondary use in industrial. Is that the way you should say it?
Yeah, right, Mimi?
Is it
It's
called-
retail as an accessory use in an industrial area.
So that's the regulatory one that we've already teed up.
Yeah.
So I'll be in touch with Cato and you guys, and that's your kind of. You know,
You're on your own.
yeah.
I won't be here for that next meeting, so just as well.
All right. Very briefly, town meeting follow-up on all of the warrant articles that we were supporting. Were successful, and Linda, I see Linda's on the Zoom call, so again, congratulations to Linda, the planning board, and Elizabeth for all the hard work you did to get that MBTA overlay district one passed. That was quite an effort and really very effectively done. Are there any public comments? Carla, Linda? Probably put them to sleep. Oh,
Marlon?
Hey, Carlin Reed, 83 Woodsend. I'm a member of the FinCom, but speaking on my own behalf, just to let you folks know, I think we're going to have a FinCom member assigned to you folks as a liaison, and we'll be doing liaison assignments tomorrow night.
great.
Okay.
Point them to me, Carlin, and I'll be happy to, provide an orientation and try to get the person up to speed.
Good, will do. Thanks.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, no, I just wanted to say thank you for your support. I think it was more than very helpful. And look forward to working this coming year on the accessory uses for industrial. So hopefully we got a good team going. Appreciate that.
Great. Thank you very much, Linda. And the last item here is that, our next meeting in June was scheduled to be at 8:30 in the morning, but Shannon told me there's a conflict, that this room's not available. I don't know why we got bounced, but, anyway, she asked if we could go to 4:30 instead of 8:30, and I said yes, so. The next meeting will be 4:30.
Mike,
Yes, ma'am.
I skipped public comment. Can I make a comment, please?
Of course.
You have a liaison to the planning board here?
No.
Okay, maybe you do, because the last meeting that I was at the planning board, they were putting together their goals for this coming year. And they had several, and one of them was to look at parking regulations. And I know Mimi especially has told me many times that parking is a big impediment to business, to, you know, what I'm gonna. So it might be really good if someone from this committee, even if you can't have a liaison, but to send them a message that you think that looking at parking should be a priority
Mark,
this year.
Mark, I think, is, Linda, am I correct that Mark is the lead guy on that parking thing on your committee? Am I remembering
Mark
correctly?
Giddings?
Yes, Mark Giddings
Yeah.
is lead on that project. Mhm.
And he's volunteered to come talk to us, and he said he'd be in touch when he was ready.
Okay, you might wanna, yeah. I guess what I heard when I was at their meeting is that they've got a whole new portfolio of priorities, so, when you have a lot of priorities, you don't really
Yeah.
have priorities. So we need to kind of help them push that to the
We need to be the squeaky wheel.
top of the list.
Well, I did meet with Elizabeth Hughes about our issue, and
Okay.
it looked like it was a pretty, well, I know the planning committee hasn't even seen it, but it doesn't look like it's a complicated warrant.
It is,
No, it's not.
well, it will be.
No, I don't mean it that way. It's not a complicated zoning. It's not a lot of language or a big, it's
Oh,
like
okay.
simple couple words is all it needs, whether it's controversial. We'll get there when we get to that.
Right, okay.
Okay, so good suggestion, thank you. We're done. I'm sorry that we didn't have a quorum.